William Zepeda versus Mercito Hesta, 12 rounds in the 135-pound division. Let's get into it. Let's start with the favorite, William Zepeda, 27 wins, no losses, 24 wins by way of knockout. This is going to be a much more competitive fight for Zepeda than it was in his last fight, which we'll get into shortly. But Zepeda is getting to that point where, you know, we need to see the competition pick up if he wants those big paydays and, of course, those big fights. I thought he took a nice step forward when he fought Diaz. If you've been watching Zepeda, you know what the man is about. He's about pressure. He's about throwing punches. He's about throwing variety of punches, and he's about volume. Throwing punches in bunches. He's going to be in your face. As Deion Sanders says, man, I ain't hard to find. Zepeda's going to be in your face. He is not going to be hard to find. Against Diaz, he got comfortable early, right? Using his jab, throwing combinations, headshots, and then touching up the body and slipping and moving to set up his next shot and his next sequence of attack. Diaz is usually a slow starter. Got off to a slow start as we expected him to, right? He let that machine of Zepeda just get going. And once someone is in their rhythm and in their groove, man, it's hard to break them, right? After the first 4 rounds, Diaz's face was swelling, had some marks on it, some war wounds on it already. I thought I even saw a little bit of blood gushing down as well too. What I liked about Zepeda in that fight was the consistency of his work and the variety of punches that he was throwing. He was throwing 3 punches to the head, and then he was finishing up going to the body. Sometimes he would start to the body before finishing up top to the head, right? You only need a few shots to get through for it to count, but you need to throw enough consistent shots for some of your shots to go through. And I thought he did a nice job of throwing enough punches, but not being predictable with his punches, of mixing it up. I think Zepeda's got a good chin as well too, but there are still some questions to be asked in that department, I think, right? He got caught with a shot from Diaz that if Diaz was a bigger puncher, that might have dropped Zepeda because it landed cleanly on his chin. I think it was the 4th or the 5th round, if my memory serves me correctly. Zepeda was tested in that fight, man, and he came away on top, right? That was probably his toughest test on paper, and I thought he actually handled it very well. In his last fight, he fought Jamie Arboleda, and he closed out the show early, man. You know what I like about Zepeda is he's a guy that doesn't really play these games. You know what I'm saying? Like, if he can get you out of there, if he's supposed to get you out of there in quick time, then that's the aim. That's the motive. That's what he's going to do. He's not going to let it linger. A guy like Tyson Fury, I feel sometimes drags his opponents through rounds. And I'm like, man, if you don't get this over with, you know what I'm saying? But Zepeda is about business, man. He doesn't play those games. But I also thought in his last fight, he was patient. He was patient, and I like the accuracy in his shots. And I saw a little head movement as well too. I don't really see too much head movement with Zepeda, but I saw a little bit of that in that fight. And the one thing I like about Zepeda is, man, once he has his opponents hurt, this is a guy who is no slouch to being able to close out the show. His record speaks for itself. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he does this weekend, man, and what he looks like, because this is going to be a much tougher fight. And he's going to have to figure out Hesta, because Hesta has the ability to actually give him some problems in this fight from a stylistic standpoint. So let's talk about his opponent, Mercito Hesta, 34 wins, 3 losses, 3 draws, and 17 wins by way of knockout. Hesta is coming off a win, coincidentally, against Diaz. So this is a nice opportunity for him to steal the show against Zepeda. But I think the question I have is, which version of Hesta are we going to get? Which version of Hesta is going to show up? There are some fights that he's lost and some draws that I'm like, man, in my opinion, I'm like, yo, you should have won those fights. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's boxing, and as human beings, we all have nights off at times, but I felt like those were some fights that he should have and could have won. But for whatever reason, it just didn't go his way, because I think Hesta is a good boxer, man, which I think says a lot about his development as a boxer, because he never really had an amateur level career like that. This is a guy whose background is in Muay Thai fighting, man. He's athletic though, you know, he's slick and nice movement inside the ring and tries to take the right angles, throws punches and flurries, looks a little Manny Pacquiao-esque, which you would assume, you don't want to assume, but you would assume after watching him, because, you know, Manny Pacquiao, you know, from that Filipino background, we know how of a high regard they hold Manny Pacquiao, and his style has worked. So I don't blame them taking little bits and pieces here from how Manny Pacquiao used to move inside of the ring. I think right now Hesta is fighting his best, which is great for him, but also great for us as spectators, because we want to see both men in their best form and shape. In his last fight, he fought Jojo Diaz, and both men fought very well with a ton of heart, a ton of belief, a ton of confidence. Early on, Hesta was moving very well, slipping away from Diaz, using his jab and letting off combos, but not staying stagnant. Diaz started hitting the body in the fourth round, and you could kind of see that it was slowing down Hesta a little bit, just a little bit. Whenever Diaz had him on the ropes, man, and he started letting his hands go, that's when he was having success, because Hesta wasn't able to move. He wasn't able to maneuver. Fighting off the back foot is not one of his strong suits. But whenever Hesta was moving around the ring and boxing, using his jab every time that he was moving to create space, using his ring IQ, he was out boxing Jojo Diaz comfortable, in my opinion. When he's moving, he's at his best. But when he's staying stagnant, trying to brawl and being forced into that type of fight, fighting off the back foot, that's usually when things don't go well for him. But again, I thought he came in and put on a very good performance. I don't even think it was a split decision win. I thought it was a unanimous decision win to me. But he came in, did enough to get the job done. Nice performance coming in. But Zepeda is not Jojo Diaz, man. He's a different fighter and a natural 135-pounder. So it's going to be a different fight, but a fight that could have a little drama attached to it. So who wins? I like William Zepeda in this one, because I think the pressure is going to tire Hesta out past a certain point. Diaz, who isn't a big puncher and doesn't always let his hands go, was having success when he did bring the pressure and did let his hands go. And we know what Zepeda's about. Zepeda brings strategic aggression, knows how to cut off the ring, and will throw consistent amount of shots. Whenever Diaz was going to the body of Hesta, he didn't take that too well. And Zepeda's body work is very, very nice and accurate, I would add. Hesta is tough. Only been stopped once, man, but I think Zepeda can do the same, and I think Zepeda is going to win this one by late stoppage. What are your thoughts on this fight? Who do you have winning this one? Let me know in the comment section below. If you would like to support the channel, there's a couple ways you can do so. You can like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you would like to support by way of donation, you can find options in the description below. Also, my Cash App handle will be on screen as well. Any amount goes towards the growth of this channel and will be greatly, greatly appreciated. Got a membership section going on the channel. Don't always get to do all the suggested videos you guys suggest in the comment section below. But if you become a member, those suggested videos rise to the top, and I will do my best to get those done for you. Or if you'd like to become a member just to support the channel, that would be greatly, greatly appreciated as well. Shout out to everybody that continues to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. I appreciate each of you. So with all that being said, if you've been watching the video this time, do me a favor and subscribe to the channel, and we'll definitely see you next time.